light can't reach the furthest depths of the cave, it may be impossible to proceed without a torch. You make your exit. Light the torch. It'll be much easier to explore now with your surroundings better illuminated. Though the torch lights your immediate surroundings, you still cannot peer far into the distance. Nice work. Let's do this. thoughts? Let's do this. Fight. The door is shut tight. It seems some strange force keeps it barred. Upon closer examination of the door, you spot a cavity that looks like some sort of sphere should go there. You put the magic sphere into the cavity, and the door opens. Nice work. Let's do this. Claret trail leads you deeper into the cave. Was the walking wounded a monster or a human? A knot forms in your gut. You raise the torch to get a better look at your surroundings. The walls have been gouged and scarred as far as you can see. Another message comes into view, written in tiny letters among the scars. I will find you. What horrors transpired here? About the enemy. Don't hold back. You make to open the chest, but an ominous voice echoes around you. I will not relinquish my hoard. The next instant, something leaps at you out from the darkness. Monster defeated, you turn toward the treasure chest. And see those Ivory Order jerks rooting through it. You rush over, but you're too late to stop them. Sweet of you to take care of the monsters for us, trills Winifred, favoring you with a smile. Tucking the spoils from the chest safely into a bag, the Ivory Order trio stroll away whence they came. Knowing you couldn't stop them if you tried, you can do nothing but stand slack-jawed and watch them go. The chest is empty, save for a ragged doll. Nice of them to leave us the trash, you grumble in irritation. For some reason, Melanie picks up the ragged doll. Your shoulders slump. All that effort, and this is all you get to show for it? You find nothing else even close to treasure. Hope Cyprie is ready for bad news. Leave now would be the fastest way out. You decide to stay and explore the cave a little longer. Were you able to find my treasure? Cyprie asks. This is all we found, says Melanie, withdrawing the ragged doll. Cyprie's eyes widen as soon as he sees the doll, and he reaches out to take it. Without breaking his gaze away from the doll, he begins to speak. Cyprie tells you he gifted this doll to his young daughter a long time ago, but she fell gravely ill and died. Since then, Cyprie has treasured this doll as he treasured his daughter. Then the monsters took it from him. Cyprie turns to Melanie, his head bowed deeply in gratitude. So you reclaimed the treasure by complete accident. You step closer to Cyprie. What do you know about the dragon? You rudely inquire. Cyprie gestures as if to say, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Far to the east of town is a place called Unionville, where monsters and humans live together in harmony. According to Cyprie, you might be able to learn something there, as the dragon and monsters are not totally unrelated. Upon hearing that, you turn on your heel to leave. Cyprie calls out to stop you. Journeying to Unionville entails traversing the dense expanse of the bewildering wood. You'll need this, he says, and holds out something for you. You won't make it through the bewildering wood without it, Cyprie says. Your sights set on the distant Unionville, you resolve to navigate through the bewildering wood. Well, if it isn't the head of the National Inn Association's son, the innkeeper blurts out, overcome with surprise. You've clearly been mistaken for someone else, but the innkeeper looks so excited that you dare not burst her bubble. Your room is free. The party leaves the inn feeling rested. Figuring it's best not to go looking for trouble, you decide to detour around it. Still, you can't help wondering what that thing was. A thick fog impedes your vision. You surmise this is in no small part why they call it the Bewildering Wood. Many a brave soul has set foot in this wood, only to be swallowed up and never seen nor heard from again, the traveler intones gravely. They also tell of a certain tool one needs to get through this place. You hear a beautiful melody flowing from the forest depths. It sounds like singing, or perhaps birdsong. As you listen closely, you are struck by a sudden dizzy spell. You sense a presence growing closer, but cannot react. The grass rustles, then a monster slowly shows itself from between the blades. It's a harpy. Realizing you've been caught in the harpy's trap, you ready your weapons. For some time after that, you find yourself trembling at the mere sound of a bird's tweet. A message is written on the sign. Seek out the 4 stela hidden deep in these woods. About the enemy. You take a peek inside the grass and immediately find the owner of the voice. It's a harpy. It seems like the harpy hasn't yet noticed you. You pick up a rock and throw it at the monster's feet. Startled, the monster flaps its wings and flies away. You find some coins scattered about where it stood. You have found the southern stela. You smack it and hear a sound off to the west. You'd best head that way next. The man sighs, realizing he may never be able to escape with his current tool set. You have found the Western Stela, which you swear up and down was not here when you came in. Nevertheless, you give it a smack. The woman appears to be lost. How do I get out of here? She asks with furrowed brows. Found the Northern Stela. It doesn't look particularly special. You resolve to touch it anyhow. Did great. The next Stela is, you hear someone murmuring. It sounds like a man. But you can't really be sure in these woods. Trees bearing very solid-looking nuts whip to and fro in the force of the gale. This doesn't bode well for you. A bunch of nuts fly off from the trees, but you and your friends hightailed it out of there before any of them could hit you. Congrats. Found the Eastern Stela. You see the words Melody of Fortune chiseled into the corner. You have investigated all 4 of the Stela in the bewildering wood. You hear a sound, and it's not all that far away. About the enemy. Excellent. I need to hit the Stela every single time I want to go home. Ah, what a pain, the frowning woman sighs. You examine the Stela. The message carved into the Stela reads, "Play in tune with the forest." You hold the woodland flute you received from the good doctor in Thriston. Doot 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 doodly, doot 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 doo. You blow a handful of pleasant enough notes into the woodland flute. You soon become aware of accompanying percussion, which reveals itself to be a series of impeccably timed footfalls racing toward you. A young woman appears before you. "That was absolutely dreadful," she whinges, her jaunty gait betraying her enjoyment. She calls herself Ridis and declares herself a woodlander, resident of the bewildering wood. By sheer coincidence, the flute on which you played those notes was one designed to call the woodland people to your side. Stunned by your good fortune, you ask Ridis to lead you eastward out of the forest. What luck! She agrees far more readily than you ever anticipated. But, she continues, extending her hand, you'll have to hand over the woodland flute first. You hand over the flute, firmly restating that she may have it on the condition she leads you out of the bewildering wood. Ridis plucks the woodland flute out of your hands with glee and begins playing it as she skips away. Well, playing is a generous term. It sounds as though she may as well be murdering the poor thing. Riddis makes it clear that the fastest way out of the woods is through woodland, where she lives. It's that-a-way, Riddis says gleefully, pointing past the stela before you. Welcome to Woodland, Riddis says, gesturing out over the village. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm quite busy for the rest of the day, so you'll have to wait till tomorrow to leave the forest, she says, and makes her way home. Welcome to the Forest Oasis, the man greets you warmly. You happen upon a man greedily guzzling well water. Could it truly be that much better than ordinary water? This shortcut is reserved for use by woodland citizens only, the guard barks, clearly unwilling to let you pass. Apparently she's heard rumors of the dragon destroying another town somewhere. Our village would burn down so easily, she mutters, perhaps a bit more afraid of the symptom than the cause. You learn that Riddis's family is mired in debt and living hand to mouth. And I know how they got in so much trouble, the rumor mongerer says deliciously. We are not in the business of meddling in the personal affairs of others, Melanie says curtly, cutting her off. Riddis pores over a book while practicing on the woodland flute. She remains dreadful at it. The instant you begin speaking, she nearly leaps out of her skin and hides the book. She somehow hadn't noticed you. I thought you were the debt collectors. You can't sneak up on me like that, she stammers, struggling to regain her composure. You take note of a woman who appears quite ill. As it turns out, she is none other than Ridis's mother. She is in no small amount of pain. Will you give her something to ease her suffering? The item you've proffered has no effect on her illness, but I appreciate the thought all the same, she says with a smile. Ridis's mother hands you mysterious card 3 as a token of her gratitude. She begins speaking of Ridis, who has been preparing the medicine that helps her get through the day. She blames her illness, and therefore herself, for making Ridis's life so difficult. The more she talks, the more her face drops. Been a while since we've had any outsiders, the innkeeper says, beckoning the party inside. It turns out this inn is simply a place where the poor, lost souls trapped in the bewildering wood may recover. You may stay as long as you like, free of charge. The wooden dining table practically groans under the weight of the platters upon it, all brimming with meats and vegetables from the bewildering wood. I've certainly earned this, you say to yourself, as you slide into your seat at the table, positively drooling over the feast before you. Melanie takes no note of your boorish behavior, uttering a small prayer of thanksgiving before reaching for a plate of vegetables. Mar sits, eyes fixed on the food upon the table, statuesque in his stillness. What a good boy. Mar clears the entire table in a matter of seconds, even emptying the water barrel in a single gulp. He lets out a self-satisfied burp that sends a small jet of just-drank water arcing out onto the floor. The sun sinks low, and the day draws to a close. A scream pierces the silence. Fire! You leap out of bed, adrenaline coursing through your veins. The others follow suit, and before long you've burst through the front door and into the street. Ridis's house is ablaze, a nearby villager screams. My mother is still inside, Ridis shrieks, darting past you to fetch water from the well south of the village. Ridis is gathering water in an attempt to fight the blaze all on her own. Mar's eyes light up. He scrambles over the edge of the well and sucks the well dry in an instant. He pokes at his swollen belly and gestures toward Ridis's house, as if to say, "Get me back there, quick." Mar douses the house with the water he sucked up from the well. The fire is reduced to mere embers, and all is well. Or so you think. Something darts out from behind the house and attacks. Lucky. The fiery beast dispatched, you return to putting out the last of the blaze with Mar's help. Ridis's mother, now safe, tells you the creature came out of nowhere and set the house aflame. What would bring a creature of fire to a place like this, you wonder? Light breaks on a new day, and the commotion of the fire feels but a nightmare. You lead your party to Ridis's house to ask for safe passage out of the bewildering wood. You follow the curious sounds to their source. Our resident well water lover, digging at the dry well with his bare hands. He digs and digs, but no water is forthcoming. What's worse, he has injured his hand in the process. Melanie beseeches you to help the poor man. But well digging was forbidden by our ancestors long ago. You've heard the legends, you protest. How is that the best lie you can come up with? She snaps back, appalled. The man turns towards you both, oblivious to the squabble playing out before him. Do you have any salve that might ease my pain, he asks. You hand the man some salve. The instant he applies it to his hands, he resumes his furious digging, this time punctuated with shouts of "I feel incredible." Not long after that, water erupts from the ground with a force unlike any you've seen. He sidles up to the jet of water and begins drinking from it as one would from a fountain. He is once again in his element. The man hands you mysterious card 4 to show his appreciation for the salve. Though spared from complete collapse, Riddis's home has been thoroughly scorched. Riddis's mother tells you she was once deceived by a crooked merchant and plunged into debt. Riddis has been working to repay the debt ever since her mother took ill. You lightly press your thumb and forefinger to the corner of each eye, a mixture of sadness and anger swirling within you. Riddis sits alone in one of its rooms, the air thick with the smell of char. There shouldn't be any fire creatures for miles, she grumbles. She says the monster appeared while she was playing the woodland flute last night. As to why any monsters, let alone fire monsters, appeared, well, despite the circumstances, you ask Riddis to lead you out of the bewildering wood as promised. I did promise that, didn't I? She says wearily, rising from her seat. The poor girl is clearly still in shock. Why do you want to venture out beyond the bewildering wood anyway? She inquires, as she gathers this and that in preparation to leave. We are in search of the dragon, you say valiantly, adding, the reward will be significant should we defeat him. Honesty is the best policy. Sounds like a real risky way to make a living, she replies flatly, feigning interest. A group of Ivory Order people came through here just the other day, she explains. You connect the dots with malice. Those 3, you seethe. At last, Riddis is ready to depart for the edge of the bewildering wood. This road takes you to the east side of the bewildering wood, but you'd be hard-pressed to find your way without a woodlander's help, the guard warns. Upon seeing that Riddis is with you, he steps aside and lets you through. The eastern portion of the woods certainly does not want for thick, soupy fog.